This is a Brunch Pre-Oscars mini podcast. It contains spoilers, but we can't imagine you care. If you haven't seen the movie and you are afraid of spoilers, there is no way you would logically seek out a podcast about the movie. Let us begin.
The Irishman.
The Irishman.
The Irishman.
By Martin Scorsese. The only of the Best Picture nominees that has a title card for a title that is not the title of the movie.
What was the title card for the movie?
It has the little mini scene to set it up, and then it says, I heard you paint houses.
That's actually true.
And then they continue on with the movie that they called as the movie The Irishman.
The book was I Heard You Paint
Houses.
Which, interesting.
Now, this can be confusing because the movie is not called I Heard You Paint Houses, and the title card says, I Heard You Paint Houses. This is one of the 9 Best Picture nominees. You and I, when this came out, had a difference of opinion. I would say that I really don't like this movie. You liked it.
I did like it.
I would say I don't like it to really don't like it. I have 5 main issues with the movie, but really only 4 now, because one of the main issues I have with it is that it has a title card for a title that is not the title of the movie.
That's who cares? Who cares, though?
It's such a weird move. And Martin Scorsese, even though he has a lot of cachet, I feel like I don't trust him to do that kind of a weird thing.
I think that Martin Scorsese at this point can really do whatever he wants, which is, I think, demonstrated by the fact that he made a 4.5-hour movie for Netflix.
Right, but that's like an Adam McKay move.
Yeah.
In the middle of the...
But Adam McKay doesn't have the cachet to pull that move.
That's what I'm saying. He does. Oh, he absolutely does.
Well, he does because he made
credits
because he
a quarter
made
of the
that
way
his
into
thing,
the movie.
But because he made that his thing.
Because he does just weird off-the-wall shit. So, I'm down with that from Adam McKay. And then, you know what? If Adam McKay made this movie, probably talking about an hour and 35-minute movie instead of a 3-hour and 29 movie. This is just going to encapsulate all my issues with the movie. This is a 3-hour and 29-minute movie about Frank Sheeran, who worked with Jimmy Hoffa. Mm-hmm. But it's really like a Jimmy Hoffa movie. And I went in this morning, I skimmed through it for some things I want to figure out. Mm-hmm. And even fast forwarding through this movie takes forever.
Yeah,
because it's a 3-hour and 29-minute movie. Again, so it's about Jimmy Hoffa, right?
I think that it is too long. And I've said in the past that make movies however long you need them to.
Right.
But this one very slow, very slow in the beginning. Definitely some fat that can be trimmed out of it. But
slow in the beginning and fat that can be trimmed out of it. I've got the exact numbers for you, pal.
Okay.
46 minutes and 20 seconds before Jimmy Hoffa is even brought into the movie. 41 minutes and 56 seconds after Jimmy Hoffa is killed, for a grand total of 88 minutes and 16 seconds. That's 1 hour and 28 minutes.
Basically a full movie.
The movie Pop Star is 1 hour and 27 minutes. With all of the nonsense that you have in this movie, and there's some nonsense during the Jimmy Hoffa stuff, with all the nonsense and the fat that can be trimmed with this movie, you could make an entire other movie.
Sure, but your argument that this is a Jimmy Hoffa movie, I think, is sort of off base, because it's just as much a Jimmy Hoffa movie as it is about Frank and his relationship.
Buffalino crime family.
So, those two things are intertwined with each other for, this grand, big story that takes those two parts. So, I don't think that you can automatically discredit any part of the movie that doesn't have Jimmy Hoffa in it.
Oh, I can discredit so much of the movie that doesn't have Jimmy Hoffa in it. I'm going to get to another issue I have with the movie. The daughter doesn't speak to the dad thing.
Yeah.
That loses so much weight because they established that the daughter doesn't like the dad before Jimmy Hoffa is even introduced. So then once the Jimmy Hoffa stuff happens and she loves Jimmy Hoffa and everything goes to hell with him, she stops talking to her dad. She doesn't like her dad. She wasn't talking to her dad before she met Jimmy Hoffa. I'm so not surprised.
But they talked.
She wanted nothing to do with him. When they're at the bowling alley with Russ and Frank, she doesn't care about Russ. She doesn't want to give her dad the time of day. She wants anybody else but those two.
She's just scared of them. She's a little kid and she's scared of them.
She's a little kid who doesn't like her dad. So then as time goes on, she continues to not like her dad. And then this big thing happens. Oh no, now she doesn't like her dad anymore. No. She didn't like her dad. So you spent 46 minutes and 20 seconds with all this nonsense. But in that nonsense, you established something that ruined one of like the biggest developments of the movie because she never liked her dad. I didn't care that she stopped talking to him.
I thought that was the one of the better parts of this movie was the ending and sort of
was that a woman didn't have any lines. Real good.
Yeah, exactly.
That was your favorite part.
Why
of the
do you
movie.
think that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is also nominated for Best Picture?
It's all the
women
rage.
don't speak.
You know what? This movie caught crap for that.
Yeah,
but I think,
which is so
I think misguided crap.
Absolutely,
because they needed to establish that she didn't like her dad and she didn't talk to him.
The entire point of her character basically was like that she had a bad relationship with her dad and they didn't speak.
Right,
and she got criticized for not having lines.
This isn't the movie that tops my list of the best picture noms. That I'm like, you couldn't have put a woman in this movie. That's going to be a different one that might surprise you. But that was a criticism of this movie that may have been a little misguided.
Yeah.
But
no, I liked I know when we had the initial discussion, you didn't like the ending. You thought that could have been wrapped up in like 5 minutes. I liked how it ended and sort of like the human element that was brought into it and sort of how that was examined in terms of the personal relationships inside of the mob and outside of the mob.
And do it in 10 minutes.
Don't
do it
that they did a good job.
In 41 minutes and 56 seconds where you bring in Action Bronson
but the issue
to
there
sell him a green coffin.
But the issue there is
because he's Irish.
No, the issue there is that you spent so much time on like different areas of Frank's life and like these all these decades that if you wrapped up in 5 minutes in the after portion of like his old age, it would have been a disservice to the entire movie.
Those were the parts of the movie where he was doing stuff. He's out of the business now. He's out of the business. This movie was about the business.
But it's about his life. In his life.
You need 41 minutes and 56 seconds to say, my daughter, who didn't talk to me the whole movie, doesn't talk to me anymore. They keep positioning it as anymore when she never liked you. She never talked to you. And then you need a scene.
She tolerated him.
Action Bronson. And because she was a kid, she was an adult.
She tolerated him as an adult.
She wasn't allowed to say, I don't really care for this guy. I'm not going to talk to him anymore. She didn't like him. She continued to not like him. And then you have to put a scene there where he's calling her on the phone, where he's going to get green coffins from Action Bronson. 41 minutes and 56 seconds. Who has the time? In those 41 minutes, 56 seconds, those didn't hum. That was not a quick 41 minutes, 56 seconds. That felt like 42 minutes and 56 seconds.
Okay.
That was a long 41 minutes and 56 seconds.
I will say, my big thing here is I clearly like it more than you did.
Maybe.
And I think that I expected it to be nominated for Best Picture. I think that it should be automatically disqualified from winning Best Picture because it had one of the worst scenes of cinema in 2019.
Brings us to another one of the issues. The de-aging is distracting, and on my second fast forwarding of the movie, I realized it wasn't even just that terrible scene, and that was a terrible scene.
It was awful.
First time they show Frank driving the truck, they cut from him as an old guy to a young man, and it looks like, I don't know what it looks like. It's bad. It's distracting. But the worst of it was that they de-aged the face and didn't consider that an old person with a de-aged face beating up a younger person as a young man is going to look like an old person or a severely injured young man.
Yeah, and there were just so many things about that scene that were a disaster, and it should not have been included in the movie. I understand the purpose of it, but it should have either been reshot or, filmed in a different way or with a different person. Yeah. Different person altogether. It's just I felt like that scene was inexcusable, and to have, if you have a year as strong in movies as this one is, you can't have one of the worst scenes of the year in a Best Picture winner.
I also feel like it shouldn't have been nominated. So this is this is a movie that I would say falls into the category of there are just a lot of better movies than it this year, a lot of other ones that should be nominated. But this, even in any other year, I would say shouldn't be nominated. This I think is the worst of the Best Picture noms.
Wow, I disagree with
one
that.
One of the other big issues is that it just wastes excellence. Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Ray Romano,
you can at least say
Al
that the
Pacino.
performances were great, right?
The performance, yes, you're always, but so that's what I'm saying. Then it wastes excellence.
Okay.
That you've got these great people. I guess my biggest issue is with Martin Scorsese, and I think that he should be punished for this movie for squandering good performances and great talent and an interesting story with a 3 hour and 29-minute movie that wastes, 1 hour and 28 minutes?
Sure.
He should be punished for this. And he's also nominated for Best Director, which
I disagree with that one by a long shot, because it's certainly not his best work. Again, there's a lot of fat that could be trimmed, and just like the overall, I mean, again, one of the worst scenes in 2019. So I have no problem with saying that he shouldn't be in there for Best Director.
Other nominations for this movie are Best Supporting Actor, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci. For Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Production Design, which production design is going to be tough for a lot of these that are nominated, just because 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are going to probably run away with those. Best Cinematography, I think that's insane that it's nominated for that. Best Costume Design, if De Aging falls into that, then I would say get the heck out of here. Best Film Editing and Best Visual Effects. Of those, I would say Joe Pesci for Best Supporting Actor is interesting because he's just always so good. But I don't like the idea of this movie being rewarded.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't have any problem. Like, Pesci was great. Al Pacino was great.
Mm-hmm.
De Niro, I thought was
Idiot
okay. Was fine.
Watermelon vodka was terrific.
Yes. What about adapted screenplay? Do you think, like, did they really adapt the screenplay, or did they just take the book and then like use every page?
Well,
I've never read the book.
Best adapted screenplay, something different, then you are onto something.
They didn't even adapt the title.
We're not going to do big scores or anything like this, but this is a movie that if I were to give it a score out of 100, I would give a 59.
Wow.
I want to give it I'll give it the highest F.
Better or worse than Rocket Man. That's a thing. If you're new to the podcast, that's a thing that we do.
That's a good barometer. It is worse than Rocket Man for sure. For sure.
I'm going to disagree, but
you say it's better than Rocket Man?
It's better than Rocket Man, but this is a nice little start to the series of Best Picture nominees. We don't often disagree as heavily as we did on this movie, but there you go.